Right, in this video we're looking at how to find the lengths of lines, specifically horizontal and vertical lines in a given set of axes. Now, let's start with vertical lines. If you're given a vertical line, doesn't matter how it's given, in order to find its length, you would have to use the y coordinates of the points of that line. And in this case, we're given a line with points A and B. And in order to find just the line segment AB, we need the y coordinates of that. Now remember why this is the case is because just in line with the point on the y-axis, where your y coordinate is -5 and at point A your y coordinate is 6, the length or the distance from that 6 to that -5 would be exactly the same as that AB. That's why we use y coordinates in order to determine that. But how do we do that? Well, if we're to find the length of AB, we always need to take the biggest y coordinate. In this case, it is 6. And then we subtract the smallest y coordinate. Now, the smallest y coordinate in this case is -5. So when we then subtract the two, the outcome would be the length of the line AB, which in this case is 11 units. Now, because there's no units of measurement like centimeters or millimeters, we say units. But now just take note that it's important. If you happen to make a mistake because you're subtracting incorrectly and you end up with a negative answer, that means you're subtracting incorrectly. It can never be negative. And if you take the highest coordinate of y and subtract the smallest coordinate of y, you will always get a positive answer. Okay. Let's have a look at horizontal lines. In the case of horizontal lines, similarly, here we'd have to use the x coordinates. Again, you take the highest x coordinate, you subtract the lowest x coordinate of that point. And in this case, we've got 2 as the highest and we've got -4 as the lowest x coordinate. And if we're to find the length of CD, we will go 2 subtract the lowest x coordinate. In this case is -4. Okay, and again, if you've done things correctly, your answer should be positive. In this case, CD is 6 units. Okay, and it's pretty easy, and especially if you're looking carefully at whether you're finding a vertical or a horizontal line. Now let's look at a question as an example. We're given two graphs here, a graph of f and a graph of g with their equations. Graph of f, equation y is equal to -x plus 2, and that is our blue graph there, and the graph of g is y is equal to 2x plus 6, and that is our purple graph. Now, question says determine the length of the line MN, which you can see on the sketch in the diagram, if we're given that OS is 7 units. Now, OS being 7 units, there's OS from the origin to point S, where the line MN cuts the x-axis. Now, really, that's just an indirect way of telling you that where point S is at, the x-coordinate is 7. That's the only way it can be 7 units. So then it means we know that at every point on the line MN, the x-coordinate is 7. The x-coordinate is 7 at point M, the x-coordinate is 7 at point N. Now, here's the trick in the question. Remember, to find vertical lines, we need the y-coordinate of those lines. We currently don't have that y-coordinate. So your calculations then will involve first finding the y-coordinates and then calculating the length of MN. And this is where the x-coordinates comes in now. Our x-coordinate for each point M and point N will help us determine what the y-coordinate is at each one of those points. All we need to do is go to the equation of each of those points. Point M is on the equation of G. So we need to go fetch the equation of G, substitute our x-coordinate of 7, and we easily get the y-coordinate at point M. So the full coordinates for point M is actually 7 and 20. And then we go to point N. Now point N is on the equation of F. So that means we're going to substitute our x in the equation of F. So always make sure they substitute in the correct graph, and then we get easily the y-coordinate of point N is -5. So the full coordinates there is 7 and -5. Now, look at our two y-coordinates. The biggest y-coordinate, 20, and the smallest y-coordinate, -5. We know the story. We subtract the biggest minus the smallest. and then we get 25 units. Very easy. Okay, so I hope you've understood. Very straightforward. Vertical lines and horizontal lines, you find them by using the correct coordinates accordingly.